Hello and welcome to Bob's Coffee Chat. Today we have Brittany Schultz from ADT to talk about aging in place. Brittany is passionate about teaching the community about home security and home health. She is an experienced life safety specialist, particularly for the ADT Medical Alert System. So Brittany, how can we make life easier for our elders who want to remain living independently in their homes?
So it might seem somewhat of common sense, honestly, what I'm going to talk about, a part of what I'm going to talk about today. But it's really, really important to go over because aging in place, the main things that are going to help our elders age in place is staying healthy and staying active and staying mentally there, so it's continuing to do things that we love: gardening, working out, being with friends. And so when I was putting together this presentation, and when I've done this before in the past, I always kind of think, as I'm going over it, I am talking about things that we all know we need to do, but it's so important. So today I am going to talk about aging in place. Now I'll give you guys a little bit of information about me before I start my slide presentation. But my name is Brittany Schultz, and I've worked with ADT Security as a security specialist and a life safety specialist for 2.5 years. And before that, I worked with Amada Senior Care. So I was essentially doing sales for them, but I was more of a consultant for them. So I was able to go into people's homes and hear what they had gone through and help with home health or getting somebody into a facility. And what I learned in that job is that there's ways to avoid it. And the ways to avoid leaving your home and being able to age in place are things that we should all be doing, no matter how old you are, on a daily basis. So I'm going to start. I'm going to share my presentation with you. So bear with me. Let's see. Can you guys all see my screen?
Yep, we can see it now, Brittany.
Wonderful. All right. So once this comes up, so ADT, we want our customers to be able to stay in their homes, and by leading a healthy, active lifestyle, keeping your body, mind, and health in check, allows for minimizing any kind of injuries and creating a home environment that also helps minimize injuries. And those are going to be some of the things that we go over today. So today we're going to be going over the basics of staying healthy, which is number one, such as exercising, healthy eating. And then we're going to be going over preventing falls. I have a nice little checklist that I work on very often when I'm going into homes to prevent falling and helping with aging in place that we're going to go over. And then I'm going to dive into the ADT home health hardware, which is an amazing thing, which helps people live independently on a daily basis. So we're going to start with exercise. Now, staying healthier and staying active is the number one difference between living independently and aging in place and needing assistance. What can help is staying active, exercising, hiking, group exercise classes, exercise, strength, yoga. All of those will help prevent falls, which is the leading cause to injury and having to leave the home. So benefits of exercise, we all know that feeling better, being healthy, losing weight, helping with breathing, staying strong, but also our health and getting healthy and staying active can make us stronger and can help us with our balance. And balance is huge. Also, sleep helps with mood. There's so many benefits to working out that are great for aging in place, but are great for every single one of us in the world. Every single person should be starting and exercising and eating well from the get-go. So exercise caution. Now, this is a really not funny thing, but a really big thing, because exercising is important, but exercising with caution is really important. So when we're talking about an elder, a parent who's in their 80s and it's the first, or 70s, and it's the first time that they've worked out or gotten any kind of exercise, consulting your physician to make sure that exercise is safe is really important. Now, for somebody who's in their 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, consulting a doctor or physician, depending on where your health at, you may not need to, but really, it's really, really important to do these 4 things and on the side of this slide, which is warm up and stretching, remembering to breathe. Now, I know remembering to breathe is so obvious, but it's so easy to hold your breath as you're working out, and lack of airflow can stop a workout. It can make exercise not fun. And that can be a huge deterrent to doing these things. And stopping if you feel pain. Now, making exercise fun is really important. And I always like to go over this because I feel like when I think exercising and going into the gym and pounding metal and working out and doing that kind of thing, but workouts don't have to be like that. Stretching such as yoga, tai chi, water aerobics classes, dance lessons, yoga classes, group classes. There's so many different kinds of workouts that are beneficial. Honestly, sitting on your couch with weights, doing bicep curls is better than doing nothing. Starting movement, gaining strength, that is unreal. Now, the 4 basic kinds of exercise that we all know we need to do, but I have to go over it, is number 1, endurance. Now, endurance is huge. Endurance helps us, endurance is aerobic exercise, walking, swimming, jogging, group fitness classes, Zumba, anything that's going to raise the heart rate. And endurance helps strengthen the heart, which is really, really important. Helps strengthen cardiovascular as well, and helps improve overall function of everything. So a quick tip that I found, and this was wonderful, the goforlife.nia.nih.gov. Now, when I've worked with people in the past who have not worked out before, it's their first time diving into fitness, and being in their 70s and diving into fitness, it's a whole nother world. This website right here is wonderful. There's tracking tools that can be exercise tracking tools, easy exercise workouts, different ideas of what to do, different sources. So it's a great resource page, and I can include that in the chat when my presentation is over. So the next thing that I wanted to go over is balance. Now, balance is really, really important to preventing falls. The ability to be able to catch yourself when falling is really, really important. And balance exercises help prevent falls, which is really the number 1 reason why people are leaving their homes and not having the ability to age in place. So helping with lower body strength, balance, stabilization, yoga. I mean, yoga is really, really huge, but tai chi is really huge. Water aerobics is wonderful and really fun. All of these things, water walking, swimming laps, all of these things can help with balance and can help with strength and endurance. Then we have flexibility. Flexibility, it helps stretch your muscles. So flexibility along with endurance is really, really important. Now, balance and flexibility kind of go hand in hand. If we're talking about doing yoga, stretching, moving your shoulders, doing downward dog, or even doing child's pose, going on and finding different poses that work for your body that help stretch out is great. Not only is it going to help with everybody on an everyday basis, but our elder population tends to not work on flexibility. And there's really, really simple chair poses and different stretches that can be done that are not difficult. It's that the everyday elder can do these kinds of things. And that website that I have right on this page right here, this website has some wonderful stretches. Now, when I was doing my try this, I wanted to talk about tree pose, because tree pose is actually a little bit difficult of a pose when we're talking about yoga, but it's a balance pose. And trying some kind of balance pose or balance exercise on a daily basis can help strengthen your body. And doing something as simple as the tree pose on a daily basis is extremely beneficial. Now, the last thing, in my opinion, is the most important is strength. And that's why I keep mentioning getting weights and lifting them, doing squats. Strength exercises make our muscles stronger, and stronger muscles allow us to carry out our daily independent activities. Grocery shopping, climbing upstairs. In Marin, especially, there are so many different areas where we park in our car and walk up 30 steps to a home. And, having the ability to continue these everyday activities, strength is going to be the number one importance for this. Now, I really, really love wall push-ups because they're really easy. So I just gave a little example of a workout along with the lifting weights while sitting on the sofa. Wall push-ups are something easy. And the reason why I wanted to put this in here is because strength exercises can be done anywhere. So you can be grocery shopping and walking out of the grocery store and doing bicep curls with a grocery bag. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do to work out. So because balance and strength and endurance and flexibility are just keeping our bodies in tune is just so, so important. Now, another thing is eating healthy. Now, we all know eating healthy and what that entails, but eating healthy and exercising well is the fundamentals to a healthy life and living longer. And a balanced, nutritious diet gives you the energy your body needs to do what you needs to do on a daily basis. It can also reduce heart disease, strokes, type 2 diabetes, and horrible falls. So what eating healthy looks like, now it's really straightforward and it's stuff we all know, focusing on vegetables and fruits and whole grains, and including lean meats such as fish and chicken, beans, eggs, nuts, staying low in saturated fats and trans fats, and staying lower in added sugars. Now, balancing calories from the calories you intake and the calories you outtake is really important to maintain a healthy weight. Now, the last thing, the last step that is so important that we all know to work on is keeping your mind focused as well, keeping your mind entertained. So I know that I've gone into people's homes that had just had a fall, and the fall scared them so bad that they were sitting at home all day and not continuing the activities that they love to do, not even getting a piece of paper and doodling, down to the most simple of things. And that doing the things we enjoy on a daily basis, even if it's just for 5 minutes, getting a if you like art, getting a piece of paper and drawing, if you like doing gardening, going outside and planting some plants. I mean, there's such a different variety of things that we can do that to keep our mind and bodies in check. So, I mean, physical activity, again, is another thing that's going to help out with keeping your mind strong, keeping our bodies and mind strong, exercise. But it also helps with stress and making you happier. So beyond exercise and physical activity, there's the last thing I want to talk about before we dive into the ADT, and I have quite a bit of information here, is preventing falls. So preventing falls is so important in our older population. So many people go to the ER every year for fall related injuries, and avoiding a fall and avoiding a serious injury is so important for us having our elders staying home. Now, we've already gone through exercising, using those exercises that we talked about, the 4 different exercises, and going in and fall proofing your home. So fall proofing your home, there's so many different things that somebody can fall over. A rug that is that's not fixed onto the ground, going into the bath and not having a slip proof mat. There's so many little things and little nuances and quick, easy things that you can do to make the house safer to live in. So, depending on the severity, adding handrails in the home. So, depending on the age of the elder we're talking about, but putting non-skid pads or double-sided tape under rugs and placing grips under rugs and in the bath. So stepping in the bath and not slipping, having a mat is really important. And, these are all things that are so easy to forget about having in our home. I went into my grandmother's house the other week, and the bathroom didn't have a slip proof mat. And, she lives in Riverside. I was just flabbergasted that we didn't have this kind of thing in here. She's in her 90s. It's important to have these kinds of things. It took me about 20 minutes to go to Target and get the things that would give us, her family, peace of mind before we left. So checking the home for potential tripping hazards and lighting is really important. Removing excess clutter, making sure hallways are cleared, making sure by the bed is cleared, and also having lighting, having a good lighting, having possibly a night light in the bathroom. Improving lighting is so important. One of the last jobs I went to, where we were I was going in and checking on a caretaker who had been in a home. The gentleman was going and bringing his trash cans out and fell on the side of the house because it was night, and he missed the crack and fell and broke his hip. And it was avoidable because the lighting was out. So, having fog lights or motion lights on the outside of the house, making sure that where there's a potential hazard, that it is eliminated. And then checking vision. It seems basic, but it's so true. Poor vision leads to accidents, and that's just the reality of it. So seniors should have, everybody should have an annual eye exam. Every single one of us can fall because of vision issues. So keeping up our glasses and contacts on a yearly basis is wonderful. Now I have some good little information here that I wanted to give. And so just some stats about falling, really. 1 out of 5 falls causes a serious injury. And each year, 3 million people are treated in emergency departments for falls. So these falls each year, 300,000 older people are hospitalized with hip fractures. So falling and the potential of a hip fracture, a fall at 75, 80 years old is not the same as a fall at 60 or 50 or 40 or 30. And bones get brittle as time goes on. So falls with elders result in hip fractures so often. And a hip fracture can be life-changing. It can change the way somebody lives the rest of their life. And more than 95% of hip fractures are caused by falling, which I think I may have said already, so I apologize. Usually by falling sideways. I have had a lot of people who are in their homes alone, who have fallen over something in the hallway, didn't have a cell phone with them, and were on the ground for 6 hours waiting for a caretaker or a family member to come in. And the waiting time of falling and having a caretaker, not only what it does to you physically, but what it can do to somebody mentally, it can be scary. So making sure that we avoid all of these things, or trying to avoid the possibilities of creating a fall, is so important. Now, falls typically are going to cause, not all falls, but a bad fall can cause a traumatic brain injury. And in 2015, the total medical costs for falls totaled $50 billion. Medical care covers about, Medicare and Medicaid covers about 75% of those costs, but that's a lot of cost towards falls, and a lot of them are avoidable. So falls can cause broken bones, wrist, arm, ankle, hip. Hip is always the biggest and scariest one because it can completely change the way that somebody lives the rest of their life. Falls can also cause head injuries. These can be very serious, especially considering the medications that the person is taking. An older person that falls and hits their head should see the doctor right away. So I know that we all know this, that it's common sense, hey, if I fall, I should go to the doctor. But depending on the person's age, it doesn't matter the severity of the fall. Going and getting a doctor checkup is really, really important. Many people who fall, even if they're not injured, become afraid of falling. And this is something that I come into so often, is that the fear can cause these people to cut down their everyday activities. The fear of falling can make somebody less active. It can make them weaker. It increases the chances of falling. So eliminating that fear can create peace of mind and confidence, which helps somebody continue to stay healthy. The confidence of not falling can help somebody live happily in their home. Now, this checklist is one that I love. Now, ADT has one as well. This one's from the CDC, but the ADT one it goes to extremes. And so, it has a few everyday people and then goes right to handrails. And not everybody needs handrails, and that's the reality of it. So I start with the stairs and steps, indoors and outdoors, and their papers, shoes, books, or other objects on the stairs, always making sure that there's objects off the stairs, fixing loose or uneven steps, having an electrician put an overhead light or a light switch at the top or bottom of stairs to make sure that you can walk upstairs illuminated, having a friend or family or yourself, depending on your health and where you're at, make sure all light bulbs are up to date, and if they need to be changed, making sure that they've been changed. Making sure carpet is firmly attached to every step. Over time, carpet can get loosened. I've seen so many falls from carpet being loose, from there being issues with the carpet not being stuck. I've had somebody step on a nail from the carpet not being, the nail not being put down, and the person stepped on it and fell. I mean, stairs are so huge. So making sure that any possible obstacle on the stairs are eliminated is wonderful. It's that, in my opinion, that's one of the first things that should be done. I mean, even stairs to a front of the house, even if it's just one stair to walk up to the front door, making sure that there's no obstacles anywhere. And then fixing loose handrails or putting in new ones. So I so often will go to homes where the handrail is falling off, or it's not fixed onto the wall properly, or there's no handrail at all. And having handrails is really important, really inexpensive. Getting a new handrail on a home can be $100, and that can be the difference between having, a traditional stair hand railing. We just had to get one down and put it on the stairs, and it's easy to do, and it can help so much, having something to grab onto to catch. Now, the floors, making sure that there is a clear path, that there's no obstacles in the way, removing rugs or putting on double-sided tape or non-slip so the rugs won't slip, picking up things that are on the floor and keeping objects off of the floor. And this one is huge as well, coiling cords or taping cords. If we have having extra cords that can be tripping, that can be extra cords that can be a trip hazard. And making sure that cords are tied together so they can't be tripped over, or even having an electrician come and putting in another outlet so there's not a plethora of cords in one corner. I know a lot of times in Victorian homes, you'll have one outlet per room, and everything's plugged into those. And not only you want to make sure that it's not a tripping hazard, but that can also be a fire hazard. Then moving into the kitchen, keeping the things that are used on a daily basis or on a regular basis easily accessible. Now, I know that this is so much of this is seemingly common sense, but I don't know how many people, I know I do. Every time I need garlic salt, I am taking it out from the cupboard and putting it back in the cupboard when it could very easily put right next to the stove. So when you have somebody who doesn't have the ability to move as well as they once did, making sure that things in the kitchen are easily accessible is important. And also step stools. Now, step stools can be really iffy. I've seen a lot of accidents on step stools. So if there's a step stool, making sure that there's a handle to grab onto, never, ever, ever stepping on a chair as a step stool. And moving into bedrooms, placing a lamp close to the bed where it's easy to reach, having a flashlight or having a nightlight. So the ability to, if there's the need to use the restroom, or if there's the need to get any kind of medication or water or food in the middle of the night, making sure that there's a clear path or the ability to see where you're going is is wonderful. And there's night lights that can have switches. They don't always have to be on. At this point, there's smart light switches, and family can turn them on for you, or you can do it depending on how, depending on the age and the tech savviness of the people that we're working with. Now, bathrooms, having a non-slip mat in the bathtub is number one for bathrooms. I don't often see, this is kind of a 50-50 thing. At this point, I see a lot of people not wanting them because of aesthetics, but you can close the curtain and make it a beautiful room and still have a safe bathtub. So having a non-slip mat in the bathroom can be life-changing and life-saving. And then depending on the age and the health of the person, having grab bars next to the inside of the tub or next to the toilet. Now I want to move into how ADT medical alert systems work, because along with everything that we just talked about, staying healthy, eating healthy, keeping your mind stimulated, ADT Medical Alert Systems are an amazing, amazing piece of equipment that can allow our elders to stay in home without the need of a caretaker and without the need of leaving their house and still being able to stay safe. So ADT has medical alert systems, and they provide 24/7 monitoring. We have 5 monitoring centers for ADT for our medical alert systems. These 5 monitoring centers are specific for our medical alert systems. So the people that do our monitoring for security systems do not do the monitoring for our medical alert systems. And this is because anybody who works in our medical alert system monitoring center is specifically trained to work with older adults or Alzheimer's patients. They're working with people that they're just a little bit more sensitively trained. Now, this is one of our home health units, and I wanted to show it because it's easy to hide. It's right here. It's so loud and clear, but it's not an ugly piece of equipment. It can be put on the wrist and for women with other pieces of jewelry, or men just like that. It's doesn't have to, you can have that on, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have some kind of medical alert system, which is what I love. Now, getting help in 3 simple steps. So the way that our ADT, we have a few different home health units. So, but they all pretty much work the same. So there is an emergency. If there's an emergency, there's a personal help button on the pendant. So there's either on this little gray button right there, that's the button that would be pressed. We have neck pendants. The neck pendants look very much the same, but they are around the neck, and there's a button that you press, and that will ignite help from our monitoring center. We do have systems with optional fall detection that will automatically send an alert to ADT, and those are my favorite. In my opinion, the fall detection on the go pendants are like the way to go, because there's so many different people that can use them. They're just so much superior, but I'll go over everything that we have, because it gives you the ability to have a family member go to the grocery store. And if somebody's older mother goes to the grocery store and falls, there's no need to have to rely on all of these people to help. The medical alert system will go off, and ADT will call out an ambulance. So, there can be help wherever you go. So the systems with an optional fall detection, they'll automatically send the emergency if a fall occurs. So the way I always like to explain it, because it's pretty neat, the way that you set the fall detection pendants up is you call, and you're working with the monitoring center, and they have you put the fall detection pendant in your hand from shoulder level and drop it. And when you drop it, somebody from the monitoring center will get onto the medical alert system. So there's a little wristband a little piece that goes on the waist, and it's almost like a little walkie-talkie, and it allows the person who's fallen or setting up the piece to speak with the monitoring center directly through that equipment. So this piece uses a cellular unit. There's no need for a home phone line. I'm kind of jumping a little bit, so I'll go into how they work a little bit more when I talk about the different medical systems. But when our monitoring center receives the emergency alert, one of our agents will get on to the piece of equipment and will respond to you with two-way voice through the communicator. So with a lot of these, there's just no need for a home phone line anymore. If there's no response, the agent will send help. So the actual piece of equipment, there'll be an agent on it. They'll ask if the person's okay. If they can't get through, we're dispatching out the police, or we're dispatching out the ambulance. And then we call the family members and let them know. So then ADT notifies the emergency response and the family members. So that's, the family members will always know, which is wonderful. The on the go pendant also has GPS. So that piece is really wonderful for Alzheimer's patients. I've put these and given these to many Alzheimer's patients, and the peace of mind that it provides for family when there's a flight risk of leaving the house is, I mean, it's life-changing for the family members. Now, at home or on the go, ADT has different options for our medical alert systems, and it just dependent on what the person needs. So we have an in-home system. The in-home system is easy to use. It's water resistant. All of the pendants are water resistant. So it works virtually in every room. So it says also when you're in the yard or garden. Now, if there's an acre of land and the unit is in the home and the client is an acre away, it's very possible that the system might not pick it up. And that's why the GPS system is a little bit more superior to this piece, because this piece, the pendants connect directly to our help button or our medical device. And you would have to be within hearing range to speak with somebody from that actual unit. So a unit is actually in the home. We use cellular, so there has to be good cell phone service. And we speak through these pieces. So you can see on the left, there's a help button. That's literally a emergency button. So it has to get pressed. There's no pendant attached to that. The one on the right is our in-home system. And you can choose to have fall detection with this. The base of this is just a medical, the ability to have a panic button around the neck. Now, if somebody fell and they had the panic button and they weren't able to speak to our agents through the unit, we'd be calling out the police department or the emergency department. So regardless, the client is still going to be able to get help. They just would not be able to communicate if they were not within hearing distance of the unit. Now, my favorite piece is the on-the-go system. The on-the-go system is hands down one of the best pieces of equipment that I've worked with. So there's a mobile technology. It features GPS location services. So it allows for constant monitoring, whether the client is at home or miles from it. And connection to one of the 5 monitoring centers means not that you don't have to operate any kind of mobile phone. So this piece in the middle, you can see on the left hand, we have little wrist pendants, and on the right side, it's our neck pendant. In the middle, that is essentially, I kind of like it to a walkie-talkie. So it has a little clip. It can be placed on a waistband. It can also be placed on a purse, a briefcase, as long as it's on person. And then the equipment, whether the wristbands or the neck pendants, those are actually on person, on the wrist, on the neck. Now, these pieces have the option to have fall detection and not, but the biggest thing is that there's a panic button. The instant that panic button is touched, GPS services are sent and we are able to locate the client. Now, we don't follow people around 24/7. The button has to be pressed, and that's because it's for privacy reasons. ADT should not be following the client everywhere they go. The only time we follow is when there is a situation. Now, we do have the ability to call the monitoring center and ping the equipment. So if an Alzheimer's patient is out and about and they haven't pressed the button, then we have the ability to ping the client. So there is a way to geolocate the person, but we don't, it has to be ignited. the client has to give the okay for ADT to actually locate where they are exactly. Now the system operates with wireless connection, so doesn't need a home phone line, but we do need cell service. So I've had people ask me, hey, if I'm hiking, if I have this piece and I'm hiking in Yosemite, if I fall, will I be okay? In theory, if you have cell service, you are going to be okay. But if you are walking in the middle of nowhere and there's no cell service, the equipment is null and void, and that's just the reality of it. So, that's, I'd say, the only limitation to this piece of equipment. At this point, there's cell service in so many places, so it's usually not an issue. But when I had that client bring that up to me, I thought it was kind of interesting. We do actually, I often give these pieces of equipment to real estate agents as well. So the amazing thing about this is it's not necessarily just for elders. It's for everyone who is possibly out and about in places that aren't safe. So I've given these to a real estate agent who is jumped at a location out in Santa Rosa and was robbed. And so had she had this, we would have been able to call out emergency responders, at least not while they were there, but after. So these pieces are beneficial not only for aging in place, but for so many more things. Now the ADT Medical Alert is, it's based towards seniors to continue living independently. So I want to start with the fact that it's 100% waterproof. So people can use it in the shower, bathtub, swimming. It can be used at all times. A huge thing is independent to ADT is we have a forever rate guarantee. So the price that we set up with the client is the price that they will have for the life of their account. Also, there's no contract term with these, which is wonderful, because when we're talking about aging in place and life changes, sometimes a medical alert system can be daunting, and it can think like, oh, I'm not ready for that. I'm not old enough for that. Whatever the thought process or whatever the objection is, having the ability to get it and not be stuck in it is wonderful. I mean, that we're the only company that does that. So, and I just think it provides great peace of mind. Now we have fast response. So when clients set up the equipment, you see the instant that pendant drops, our responders, our monitoring professionals are contacting immediately. There is no lag time. So once a fall is detected or the GPS button is ignited, we are talking through the unit immediately. All of our professionals are senior trained. So really what that means is that they're trained to help in a moment of stress. And, they have a little bit different training than our security monitoring professionals. So simply pressing that button, we're going to get help and contact family so they're updated. So I want to kind of go over some general safety tips. And now these are so important because there's so many trusting people out there, and not everybody is bad, but we don't want to let people in our home unless we know who they are. So anytime I walk into a home for an appointment, I am immediately pulling out my badge so they can see who I am and see that I'm really with ADT and that I'm licensed and good, safe to be with. So making sure that the elders in your life are asking for ID of the people that come into their home. Not giving out personal information in the mail or on the phone or on the internet. That's huge. Giving a neighbor or a nearby relative a spare key, or using a lockbox. Now the lockbox is a really, really great thing to have, especially when we're talking about a medical alert system. They should be going hand in hand, because if there's emergency at the house and the elder is the only one there, but the door is locked, the police giving the emergency responders a way in is ideal. So lockbox, having a hide key, having something where somebody can help give access into the home, somebody trusted can give access into the home. Now, home safety. So, not the keeping hallways and stairways well lit, adding non-slip mats, keeping flashlights. Flashlights is so important, and it's so easy to forget. There should be an extra flashlight next to the bed. There should be an extra flashlight in the bathrooms, in the kitchen. I mean, pretty much every room should have some kind of accessible flashlight, especially if we're losing power. I know it hasn't been a while, but I know in Marin a few years ago, we lost power for hours, and the rolling blackouts are possible to continue happening. So having the ability to see in the home when there's no power, that avoids falls. That it's huge. Now, cyber safety. I like to just go into this really lightly because clickbait is so big right now. So cyber safety, making sure that the elders in our life know not to open up emails from people or click in emails from people they don't know. And not providing personal or financial information online unless it's somebody that they know and work with and are trusted. And the last thing I wanted to go over before my Q&A, because I'm ending a little bit early, I apologize, is why choosing ADT. So I didn't want to go too deep into ADT and why ADT, because this is more of a talk of preventing falls and aging in place. But this is important because ADT is the #1 security company in the USA, and ADT has been around for 145 years. So we started back in the day with telegraphs, and we really would look for bank robberies. So if a bank was robbed, we would send telegraphs to different banks in the areas to let them know. And then we have grown like crazy since then. ADT has our senior sensitive trained at the monitoring center. So in a time of high stress, the senior sensitive trained monitoring center, they help eliminate additional stress after a fall or after an emergency, and are able to continue to be calm and collected and get the right information and get the help that's needed to the client. And then a fun little fact about that ADT stands for American District Telegraph. So it's just, I thought that was a kind of a fun little bit of information. And wanted to see if any of you guys have any questions.
Well, thank you, Brittany. That's quite a lot of information. So that's going to conclude the recorded portion of the presentation, and then we'll open it up for question and answer.